Our bodies are our most cherished assets, especially for us women. Join me in this journey of learning, caring, and loving our bodies in Your Body to Bilano. Hi, I'm Alida and welcome to the second episode of the Your Body to Bilano Body Confidence series. And this particular episode, we are focusing on skin, something that's very personal to me. I've had challenges with acne and so much more over the years. And today's guest is an expert in this particular field. She's a skincare therapist. She's a somatologist, educated in South Africa as well, and worked with some of the biggest brands such as Nestle, Virgin Active, just to mention a few. And that special guest today is Mrs Fatra Kuwinga Mia. Welcome to Your Body to Bilano.
Thank you, Adida. Thank you so much for involving me, and I really appreciate it.
Yes, I am so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So, the last time that, or rather the first time that we met, I really don't think it's a coincidence, because not so long before that, you had launched Studio 63, the health and beauty spa.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself when I came across that launch, that this is exactly what we need here in Malawi, particularly because we don't have, well, in my opinion, I think we don't have enough facilities that women can walk into and receive the necessary care that they need, or advice that they need in as far as our skin, particularly our face, is concerned.
I know,
right? So because we're talking about skin and this is your area of expertise, what would you define as skin in your own understanding, part of your training? What is skin, and why is it that the skin on our faces is more important or more sensitive than the skin on the rest of our body?
Okay, so in my understanding, I would say the skin is one of the most biggest part of our body. It actually plays a lot of role on us, just about, not just us looking nice and glowing and looking beautiful. The skin actually takes a lot of role on our body. I can say, for example, heat regulation, absorption, you know, the temperature. I mean, for us to feel cold, for us to feel warm, it's the skin. So I think most of the times when people think about skin, they're just maybe more concerned about the face and everything. But overall, the whole skin actually would need more of attention than just to be the face itself.
So why is it that the skin on our faces is sensitive?
I would say because mostly it's connected to our nerves. So our skin is actually connected to our nervous systems, whereby, I mean, would say, for example, let's say if you try to touch heat, what happens? The reflex, your hand will always move. So I'm sure it's because of the reason that we've got the nerves connected to the skin. That's why we've got like sensitivity on the skin.
So my question would be, with the challenges, so I know that we do have different skin types, right? And they work differently, they influence different things in our bodies, right? But for example, I have oily skin, all right, naturally. And so
and
automatically,
I would say actually that's one of the best skin types. People don't understand till now, but I always say, can I have that skin? You know, I actually have a combination of an oily skin and a dry skin. But I've always wished to have an oily skin because it's actually lubricated nicely. Just that it needs to be maintained and looked after. Which most of the people don't know how to look after, most of us, right?
Exactly.
But I would say it's actually one of the best skin types. You won't age very soon. I'm sure even you don't look your age at that stage, you know what I mean?
That is true, I don't. But my question would be, why is it that most of the times the oily skin happens to be one that's more acne prone?
All right. So Usually because the skin overproduces sebum.
So sebum is the oil, the natural oil on the face. Okay.
And then because with the oily skin, usually you have enlarged pores, which people say it's open pores, but it's actually enlarged pores. Now, because of sweating, bacteria, the pores get clogged with the overproduction of the sebum. Now, if you're not using the proper routine or skincare routine, you usually get a breakout from the bacteria and the clogging of the pores. That's why usually it's like prone to acne because of the pores that get clogged with overproduction of sebum.
Okay, so that means for people like me who have oily skin and of course enlarged pores, very visible.
Right.
It means that we need to put in more effort when it comes to skincare, our skincare routine.
I personally think any skincare, I mean, any skin needs attention. Not just because you're oily, your skin needs attention. Even a dry skin needs attention. Even a combination skin needs attention. You have to look after it. You have to maintain it. So I wouldn't say this, but oily skin is more to look after the skin than any other type. I mean, you would even find a dry skin in winter flaking. They're lacking moisture. It looks very dehydrated. It doesn't look happy. It looks dull, you know. So I would say every skin type's actually needs attention to it. So it's not just specifically to say oily skin needs more attention.
Okay. That's fair. That is fair.
At least, you know, because everybody oily, every time they just, ish, why do I have this skin? And then you're like, no, this is actually the best skin if you look after it, if you give it attention. I mean, most of the people will say, we're awesome. What is your routine for every day? We use soap. You know, common soap.
Antoina, they just use Y.I.A.H, you know, any regular soap. And
you know what that actually does to the skin is it actually dehydrates your skin. The last thing you would ever want to do is rip off moisture off an oily skin. Then it overproduces.
Oh, wow.
Because what you're doing is it's like you're taking off. Then the skin is more like, let's produce more. That's the most mistake that is done in most of the skincare products. People think by removing the oil, they're getting rid of the problem. But you're not getting rid of it. You're just adding to the problem because the skin is now overproducing because every time you remove it.
What happens with the people who already have good skin, for example? I know someone, she's got flawless skin, amazing skin, and literally she uses Y.I.A.H to cleanse her face. So would you say that in that instance, it's okay for someone to use, if that is what works for them, so long as they are moisturizing the skin well? Because to be honest, Fatra, we are working on a budget as well. Do you know what I mean? So access to, you know, high-end products or products that will cost more than 5,000 may be a bit more than the average for many people, many women or girls here in Malawi. What would you say, you know, in that instance? Kudi, fine if you have skin that is not problematic, if you're not, for example, this friend of mine who doesn't have problematic skin, would you say, okay, fine, use that soap that works for you, or maybe as D-tricks that work for you, they are medicated or whatever, so long as after you've used the soap, you are moisturizing your skin and protecting it, whether with sunscreen or whatever. Would you advise that?
So first,
for somebody who's working with a budget.
I'm gonna ask you the first question. What is flawless to you in your understanding?
No blemishes, no blemishes, not oily, and they literally, I woke up like this vibes.
You know, I always say that people would say, I look flawless or my skin looks nice until they go under the maglam. And you realize, Goody, you're causing more damage to your skin. They might not show now, but later
in the years to come
it will definitely show. It will definitely, same like sun damage. People would go on the sun without using the sunscreen, we think it's not doing anything, but what is it doing? What does the sun do? I mean, it actually destroys the fibroblasts. And those are the ones that produce like your melanin and, I mean, your collagen, right? What happens when you don't have good collagen on your skin? Aging, right? Aging process. That's when it comes in that if you don't wear sunscreen, you'll age very fast. So some things you might think, okay, they're not reacting. Then it comes back later. You just see breakouts, your skin not looking nice. Some other people have high tolerance, right, to things even. But it will definitely come out
at some point.
At some point. Oh, but also sometimes when you go through the mag lamp, you're able to see, I mean, you could even see most of the skins that are like that, they are dehydrated. You can see fine lines that are visible. Might not be breaking out, but they have signs of dehydration, skin feeling tight and all that, not enough moisture content because the ripping of the moisture with the Detrix and all that.
Yeah. Okay.
So I totally understand that sometimes people run on a budget, but I don't think using soap is the way to go, you know. It's always the last one.
It's always the last result.
It shouldn't even be there.
So you would definitely recommend,
That's
you know,
even
we stick to cleansers.
If they don't have a soap, it's even better for them to take water and rinse off.
Plain water.
There's aloe vera. It can also be used like a cleanser. Because I mean, people in the villages like that are privileged. You can't say they can afford a cleanser that's 15,000 or 20,000, but they still have makeup on their face that they want to remove. There's things like honey that removes impurities. Honey removes impurities. Got aloe vera. You can use actually soothing for your skin. You know, it's got natural antioxidants that actually help repair the skin. So things like that they can always use. But to use soap, do you know how many harsh chemicals are in those soaps?
In those soaps, and because they're actually designed to wash clothing and other,
and then you're putting them on the skin. You're washing off everything, you know.
Oh my goodness, forgive us, please. Forgive us. So let's talk about I think the main, one of the biggest things that plague our skin. And please, people, do realize that we are particularly focusing on women because of the different influences that we have in as far as our bodies and our skins are concerned. So acne, pimples, zipupu. I think this is the one thing that affects most of us women. Some of the women are privileged enough to go their whole lifetime without having this acne,
like us, the dry skin,
you know, this acne outbreaks and just it's a terrible experience. It's a terrible experience.
Exactly.
Let's talk about what causes acne.
So different. I mean, there's so many different factors that actually cause acne. One is a hormonal imbalance. The other issue is your diet, what you're eating. Some people break out due to medication. Some people because of their lifestyle. I mean, people who are smoking cigarettes, taking alcohol, those are like toxins to your body. So there's so many different factors, some environmental factors actually that can disturb. I mean, nowadays we're actually living in a populated countries that, I mean, factories are producing different things that
in the atmosphere,
in the atmosphere. So it's so many things that can cause acne, different factors that can actually contribute to the breakout.
I think I'd shared with you my story.
Yeah, you did.
My
your journey,
horrendous breakout in 2019.
And I actually followed it. That's surprising because that time I was in college, I was like, oh my God, this lady really,
she's going through the most.
But
anyway,
you got this.
We have overcome.
Look at you glowing.
We're on the other side of the
God.
bridge. We're on the other side of the During that experience, during that time itself, it forced me to start researching and understanding why my body, at that point, I felt like it was betraying me. And I think a lot of other women can attest to this, that especially for women who don't have acne-prone skin like myself, who at some point, they just all of a sudden started to break out and experiencing, an outbreak of acne
all over
a sudden. What I realized is every time I would encounter people, they had advice for me. I try this. Some woman told me try Funbact. And I was like, oh, okay.
Because it's antibacterial.
Apparently so. And at that point, I didn't know what Funbact was.
Yeah.
And I went to the pharmacy, and the pharmacist was asking me, oh, Funbact, do you have a fungal infection? And I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, he explained to me that, oh, no, Funbact is actually an antifungal, antibacterial gel product. And I was like, so why are women in Malawi using it on their faces? And just like, apparently it helps, but for in the long run, this is chemicals that are not supposed to be applied on the face, unless if you have maybe like a ringworm on the face or something like that. That's what it's supposed to be used for. So in such instances, talking about harmful chemicals, I know that there's so many women who are using so many different remedies and different things to deal with their acne.
Even people buy cheap retinoids.
Yeah.
They don't even understand the percentage. You know, the ones they sell in the shops. They don't even, I mean, they can lie, you know. Manufacturers can literally lie. Even the hydroquinone. You know, people will just sell like in colorite. It will work eventually, but then it's
in the long run. The
then they're doing it wrong because I mean they're just applying hydroquinone. You can't apply without using SPF, and it needs actually to be prescribed by a doctor. Even me, I can't prescribe hydroquinone for you because
you actually need a dermatologist.
Exactly. There's a limit to what I mean. Even with us, I mean it's actually. We can only treat from the epidermis. That's the top layer of the skin that you see. The dermis is not for us. It's for the doctors. Do you understand? But then people usually take things into their hands, into their mouth, and start treating where they're not supposed to be treated. For example, what I'm saying about the hydroquinone retinoids that are just sold anyway, those things people need to be very cautious when they buy them. And check,
So is it like one of those things where...
you know, even products with kojic acid, people really need to be very careful with those products.
Interesting. So that means there's a wide range of chemicals and ingredients that we should be paying attention to. Digamagulama products or siana. Out of my experience, the cheaper the product usually results to the more dangerous the ingredients are. Would you say something like that? I don't think
so. You'd actually find other products that are affordable.
So for someone who's struggling with acne, for example, maybe mild acne, because at this point I would say that if you're struggling with severe acne, like myself. So for example, for myself, I particularly chose not to go to the dermatologist. And I need to explain this to people because a lot of people ask me, did you go to the dermatologist or not? I went to the dermatologist when I was younger, when my acne flared for the first time. And it was at the dermatologist where I discovered that I was allergic to dairy products. So like you had said that, you know, your diet can be a reason why your acne might flare, might break out, as well as hormonal imbalances. So for me, I knew from a very young age, I think I was about 15, 16, that I had the hormonal imbalance as well as dairy products, which I was allergic to from a very young age. So I knew that if I double in that stuff, I am going to have an outbreak. So now, this time around, I know exactly what is triggering. But I also chose not to go to the dermatologist in this adulthood breakout because the reason, the trigger for this particular acne of mine was because of medicine, right? I had too much medication in my system, which triggered another hormonal imbalance.
Medication
exactly. And so I knew that by going to the dermatologist, he or she was going to give me more medication. And I was not about to do that to my body, because I felt like I already had too much in my system. And so that's why it forced me to go into this period of research and find alternatives, natural ones, or, you know, application that would actually help me get my skin back to good health. But
that was a good decision you made. Look at you now.
It really was. Yeah. But I think this is just backing what you were saying, that, you know, as a somatologist on your part, you can only do so much. But on another level, a dermatologist actually has to do, especially when it's coming from the inside, when it has to do with hormonal imbalances, or perhaps maybe you don't even know the root cause of the problem itself. And so this is where now I would say, you know, we have to be very intentional as women. And when we face these breakouts, yes, it might take a lot from our pockets. You know, it's a penny and a half.
It is
to go and see the dermatologist. But it's important for us to take that initiative, go to see the dermatologist, who will then prescribe the necessary medication, or, you know, the necessary action that should be taken in this case. So the next thing then I will go to say is that looking at the facilities that we have available to us here in Malawi, do you think that there's definitely more that can be done, or what would you say?
I personally think that there's need of more to be done. And sometimes I feel, okay, maybe the medical part, most of the things are regulated, right?
Yeah.
But when we come to this beauty industry, there's a lot of gap. We find a lot of therapists, some, you know, they're qualified, some are not.
Some are not, they're just practicing.
They're just practicing. Probably they've seen on Google search and they think this works.
University of YouTube.
Exactly. So I think by the things being regulated, people getting to get qualification, they'll be able to help people appropriately. Do you understand? Because there's a difference between knowledge of a YouTube and the knowledge of you being in class. I mean, we are trained with the anatomy part where we understand this. We train to the basic.
Yeah.
You know, for us, I mean, we can work with a dermatologist, we can work with a nutritionist, we can work with the physio because physiotherapy because of the knowledge that we're given as an assistant. So it's not just going in and then you look at the skin in that manner. But when I look at here, I mean, even I think last week, I had a client who walked in and says, oh, I was waxed and I was taught to put Vaseline on the skin. How do you put Vaseline on the skin? Vaseline only sits on top of your skin. When you're tinting, you put Vaseline not to get pigment on the skin. So that is sitting, you're clogging the pores. You are going to get a breakout. So things, if people are trained and also there's regulations to say this, nobody can practice this, I think would avoid more of those mistakes that people encounter at going at wrong therapists and then them administering a wrong treatment, maybe not even having a consultation. Because like you remember, you won't know that it's a diet or maybe...
you won't know the cause.
If you haven't consulted with your client. Same with me, I'll have to consult with you before I do any treatment plan for you. You should be able to know and understand what you're going into, and you should know whatever is causing this, because we can't just say, I'm going to do this for you before me analyzing your skin. So if we get the people to be, the regulations to be done, I think would avoid more mistakes and a lot of people, at least on the medical part. Most of you, you can't just operate or put anything on somebody in medical. You can get sued for that.
Exactly. And I think talking about regulation, let's talk about the hugest controversy, skin bleaching versus brightening. I think recently in a conversation that we had, you corrected me on the terminology, because sometimes Timati, lightening, janjani, but you said it's brightening and bleaching. What's the difference between bleaching and brightening?
Okay, so lightening and bleaching are the same thing.
Okay.
Brightening is another different thing. So I'll just go first into the lightening. the doctor sometimes can prescribe the lightening, but depends with the condition that is the doctor is going to give you that for.
Okay.
You don't just lighten for no reason, right? Discoloration, you know, freckles. Maybe some people don't want the freckles, but there's a prescription they'll give you appropriately to that. Do you understand? But at the end of the day, remember, there's also consequences to that. Now, I will go to brightening. When you think about brightening, it's radiant.
Radiant, healthy.
Health, the glow. Where you've got an even tone. Not because you've lightened the skin. Lightening is stopping pigment. But pigment was not placed on our body for no reason. Pigment is actually what protects us from the sun, the UV. That's why you get a sunburn. That's pigment of reacting to the sun, to the UV. Now, if you are killing the pigment that is on your epidermis, what are you doing to your skin down there?
Sure.
That is why people with lighting, when they go on the sun, you feel they are red. They can't go on the sun without an SPF. You're killing. There's a reason why the melanin is on our body. Why are we killing it?
Exactly.
So that's what happens.
So, yeah. Because then, for me, when I see people who do go into lightening or bleaching, right? I think it's either a confidence, esteem, a self-esteem issue. Or ignorance, not wanting to, accept the consequences or acknowledge rather the consequences, or a matter of just not knowing the difference
between the two.
The two. What would you then say? Because I know there are a lot of people who obviously are struggling, and hence why we are also having this conversation right now, because there are many women who struggle with self-esteem and self-confidence issues. For example, you're light-skinned. I am fairly light-skinned as well. And someone who's darker than us, who has got more melanin than us, would feel that under pressure because of obviously social media has painted it that, being beautiful means being light-skinned. In such instances, what do you say to those people who are finding themselves in that sort of position?
Now, when it comes to that, that's when we get the mental health specialists, right? That is under their field. Because, you can't stop somebody how they're thinking, the brain mentally, right? But, the mental health specialists are able to, talk to the people and make them understand mentally, because obviously they're trained in that formula where they're able to help people that are having things like low self-esteem. That doesn't just come, it's maybe
overnight,
overnight. Things that they've been triggering. I'll tell you something about my story. Growing up, I've always had freckles. Unfortunately, sorry, you'll not be able to see them because of the makeup. Not that I don't look beautiful with them, but we just have to look presentable for the show. Growing up, I've always had freckles because people didn't understand them. My mother tried to buy creams. I said, I've tried what you were trying. My mom was the one buying it for me. I must remove the pigment. Do you understand? And even I started feeling low of myself. I said, maybe I'm not beautiful because of what the people were portraying to me. And it's still young. Those things are still triggering. You understand? I want to remove my freckles. So it's a thing that, because I've also been cancered. Do you understand? I went for counseling. And from there is when I found me. Do you understand? When I found Fatra. Nobody today can come and tell me that, go remove your freckles. You know what I'm going to tell them? Oh, God. I won't say it.
Exactly. You're going to tell them. Like, forget you.
No. And I will even cut my hair because that's me. Do you understand? But if you had seen me months ago, I would try to cut. I would even used to wear camouflage makeup. But that won't change the way I am who I am. The skin tone that I have is the Fatra.
Yeah.
If I change this complexion,
then it won't be you.
It won't be me. So, you know, this, at the end of the day, we talk about skin. It still falls and revolves around the mental health aspect.
Exactly.
Because even when you're stressed with mentally, your skin will be affected.
Exactly.
You understand? So it's a whole
it's a
thing.
synergy.
Yeah, it's a
big pot.
It's it works together, the synergy
exactly.
in it. Yes.
Exactly.
So it's not just about okay, I want to look beautiful, but also mentally. You must be prepared.
You should visualize yourself being beautiful before it actually translates externally.
Exactly. That's why they say a healthy body reflects a healthy mind.
Amen. Amen to that.
A healthy skin reflects a healthy mind. Yeah. You see, even when you're not happy, or your skin will tell. It will show.
Yeah.
And pay attention to your body. Pay attention to your skin.
I love that. I love that. Promoting self-awareness.
Yes.
And I think this is the common message throughout all the episodes through this series, to promote that body confidence. It starts with being self-aware, knowing who you are, what triggers you, what causes breakouts, when you eat certain foods, when you do certain activities, all of that put together.
And you can see that's when your nutritionist comes in on what you eat. Exactly. So all these things, like you said, it might be costly. But you know, nothing comes easy.
In the long run.
Yeah, but what are the gains that you stand to gain? I think even I always say, Malawi, we are a bit backwards updated. For a common massage, a facial massage, one won't do it. But there's so much toxins on the skin. Do you know toxins can actually cause a breakout on the skin? But just to get, but you need to flush off those things.
Exactly.
So it's a whole thing that we actually have to look at,
especially for people who are wearing makeup a lot, and then also like makeup, that is also another area where people are using fake products, cheap products, which are not healthy for the skin in the long run.
Exactly. And just not, I think we actually skipped this, whereby when people are color, they have acne or pimples, they tend to cover it.
To cover it so much makeup to try and
to hide it.
It's crazy because during my experience, I literally had to overcome the fact that I am not going to be wearing makeup, and I stayed for a good 1 year and a half without wearing makeup, because at the end of the day, it also just wasn't sitting well, and I knew that by so doing, my skin was not going to heal as well. And
especially when you get the acne with the cyst.
Exactly.
That is
yo.
And then you put foundation on it and even worse, we don't clean our brushes. We put things that are dirty on our skin. It's just a whole thing that we have to look at looking after our body, our skin. It's a lot of factors. We'll have to campaign a lot about it.
I'm telling you, and the thing is, it's not something that we can just cover in just one episode or 2 episodes. It's something that definitely is a long run, raising that awareness. And I think Studio 63, you have started on a really great journey in terms of advocating for that and making sure that the health part of it, it's not just the beauty, but the health part of it to support the beauty,
healing
at the end
body
of
from
it.
The inside.
Yeah. All right, cool. No, I love that. And I think there's so much more that we can do in collaboration, working together, making sure that, this message is really preached out there and women are grasping that idea. So if people, at this point for me, I would say, the only person who I have actually seen being open and talking about issues of this nature is you. So I would say, people, please do come to Studio 63 where you're going to get the assistance that you need, because obviously you've talked about the importance of consultation, and for me that is a winner.
No, man, you
instead
can't
of just somebody looking at me and just say, oh, okay, Tibanga, this, but it's like, no, wait, have you asked me why my skin is like this?
Imagine. And then we just bring something and that makes it worse again. No, we always have to, the consultation, I said some people are on Accutane. Some products you cannot use on people that are
on Accutane.
Yeah, so we always have to consult and understand. Some like microneedling you can't do on somebody who's on Accutane. Things you will only know when you ask. You won't know by looking.
Exactly.
I won't know what you're taking until you tell me. So that's where consultation
comes in. Very, very important.
And analyzing your skin also.
Exactly.
Able to see it under the mag lamp and say, okay, this is what I see. And from the consultation, and this is what I'm picking up. This is what you can use, your aftercare products. This is your treatment plan. You must also know what if you go out of budget in the process.
Exactly. This is a plan. Will I be able to afford it or not?
Because sometimes people think they say that, oh, it didn't work for me, but you only went for one treatment because they've run out of budget. But you should be able to explain to your client that so it will take you this long. Tell them process. People think skin can heal overnight. The skin took...
No, it's a process. It really is a process.
It took years to damage it. It will take time to heal it also.
Exactly.
So that's why people, quick fixes never work. The color lights, they work fast, but in long term, you have...
And once you start using those products, you can't stop. Because the reversal
The thing is now, when you stop pigment... and then the way it comes back very harsh, like,
I promise you.
I'm here for you.
Yeah,
and then you become like the dark polish because you were stopping it. You were stopping something that's supposed to be there.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So please take that time. Come to Studio 63 if you can. Okay, if you can't, take the initiative to do thorough research online to make sure you understand your skin, what is happening, and the right remedies that will help you maintain a healthy skin. My ladies. But other than that, this is the end of this episode. It's not the end of talking about skin. Continue to follow us, Your Image by AD Henson, where I will be taking a whole journey of this skin healing and care with Studio 63 here with Fatra as well. So yeah, make sure you follow our platforms, Studio 63 on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Your Image by AD Henson on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and LinkedIn as well, if you are of that community. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Your Body to Bilano Body Confidence series. And thank you, Fatra, for taking your time to impart this knowledge and your experience with the women of Malawi. I am sure and I am certain that Amina Onela, they have walked away with something and they will start thinking differently about how they are caring for their skin, what they are eating, and what they are putting on their skin.
It's a pleasure, and thank you for having me on your show. I really appreciate it, Alida, and I'm looking forward for you progressing in your campaign and everything. It's really a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you.